Hey gamers, welcome back to the Daily Dose. My name is XONEVANT, and today we're going to be wrapping up our mini-series on how to dominate games, and today we're going to be talking about collectibles. Now, if you're going for trophies and achievements in games, collectibles are probably one of the most time-consuming and frustrating aspects of doing that, other than like multiplayer, right? But in terms of the campaign, you're going to spend a lot of time getting those collectibles. Now, collectibles are probably some of the most viewed videos that I have. It seems like a lot of people have issues with those because you have to get all of them, right? Like if there's 100, you have to get all 100 to get the unlock out. And so if you're missing that one, it can be kind of that whole needle in a haystack mentality, right? Where you feel like you don't know where that last one is in the game. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So two things happen when you go after collectibles. The first scenario is that the game itself sets you up for success. And a good example of that is the Uncharted series, right? If you go and you play Uncharted, you'll actually see that via like the chapter select menu, it'll actually tell you how many relics are in each particular chapter. So, you know, 4 out of 7, 5 out of 7. You see what I mean? It gives you the max number, and it also tells you how many of those you've actually collected, which is really sweet when you're going after collectibles. And I find that in those particular instances, it's not that bad for a player to go in and get those out, because you know, just through trial and error and playing the level over and over and over again, it's not that bad to find them all, because at least you know how many are in each particular mission. But then there are some games that just don't give you that kind of hint. You know, they just say, you know, collect whatever, right? The unlock will say collect 40 of, and then it tells you whatever you're collecting, but there's nothing in the game whatsoever that actually lets you know how many you've gotten. And a good example of that would be BioShock Infinite. You had to get the voxophones, but it did keep track of the voxophones for you in your in-game menu, but it did not keep track of your kinetoscopes or telescopes. And I think there was 37 of those that you had to get, and the game did not keep track of them for you. So I get a lot of this on the comments of my videos, is people will say stuff like, man, I know I've gotten like 35 of them, or I followed your guide to the T, and I still don't have them all out. You know, I know I got all 37, but the trophy of the unlock is just not popping. And the reason why this is happening is because a lot of games do collectibles a lot of different ways. Some games require you to reach a checkpoint after you pick up a collectible in order for that collectible to count. And there has been times where I've played through a game for you guys, and you know, maybe it'll say collect 40 of whatever, right? So I'll go through, I'll get 40 clips on my hard drive, like 40 different video files. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm done, right? But the trophy's not popping, and that's because I'm constantly stopping and starting my recordings and stuff like that. Like, I don't play necessarily like straight through with no breaks. I have to take a lot of breaks just because of the nature of what I do. So even though I picked up 40 of these particular collectibles in the game, doesn't always mean that I've gotten credit for picking up all 40 of these. Because let's say I picked up one and then I said, man, I need to stop recording right quick, you know, I got to get some food, or I got to edit something right quick, and so I won't get to the next checkpoint, or the game doesn't autosave. So even though I remember picking it up in the game, I have video proof of me picking it up in the game itself still thinks that I'm at 39. So when I get that 40th clip and I'm like, cool, I'm done, and the unlock doesn't pop, then at that point I have no clue which one of the 40 I'm actually missing in the game, because it doesn't keep any kind of record for me, right? And that's when you're going to waste a lot of time, because you're going to have to play back through the game, and you're going to have to try to figure out which one you're missing. You're going to have to ask yourself the question, is the game glitched? Because sometimes the collectibles are a little bit glitched in these games, and your mind starts racing, and that's when you end up playing a game way longer than you should, just in order to pick up what you should have gotten anyway right out the gate fairly easily. Another way that collectibles work is that as soon as you pick them up, it auto saves off immediately, and you get credit for it. And a good example of that again is Uncharted. Uncharted is really great about keeping up with stats. You'll see like the autosave feature, click in, and you can also hit start, and you'll see where everything's auto saving out. That's a prime example. That means you can go in there and chapter select, you know, pick up something, get it, boom, you're good. But some games just aren't built that way. And sometimes games will even make you get all the collectibles on one run. Meaning if you go and you start playing the game on, let's say, easy or normal or hard, you know, your first run, and let's say you get 38 out of 40 of whatever it is you're collecting, and then you go, well, cool, you know, I'm just going to start a new game, right? I'm going to up the level of difficulty. I'm going to go ahead and go to that harder mode. As soon as you start that harder mode, it resets all your stats. And even though you go in there that time and you pick up the 2 that you were missing previously, you won't get the unlock. It makes you pick up all 40 of them every time you start like a new game. So you kind of need to know which one of these scenarios your game is falling in before you start actually trying to collect. Because if you don't, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time. You're going to end up going to videos on YouTube and still not getting the answer that you're looking for, because whoever made that video, right, if that video maker doesn't explain those 3 types of scenarios and which one your particular game falls in, you're going to watch that video, you're going to watch that, director get 40 of the collectibles, you're going to look at your game and go, man, I know I got all 40, and you're still going to be clueless as to which ones you still need to collect. So what can you do to prevent this from happening to you? Well, one is you can collect everything last, meaning when you start the game, you play either on the easy mode or the hard mode. Then you unlock the next difficulty, you take that down, you do everything in the game first, right? And then you come back and you do your collectibles on the easy run, right? On one complete playthrough after you know which type of scenario your game falls under. Make sure that you look to see if your game has an autosave feature. Make sure to look to see if your game has an in-game stat menu. You have to kind of cover your bases on all this before you get started. But I never suggest on your first run trying to get collectibles unless you just already have a guide sitting in front of you and you know you can get them all. If you don't know where every collectible is during your first run, I will suggest not going for them, because it's just going to slow down the overall process of you being able to speedrun that first run like we talked about yesterday, and your total playtime for that game is going to extend itself a bit more than it should. So you have to go into it with the game plan. You got to play that easy mode first, speedrun the game, get the story out, get all the unlocks out that are story driven, hit up the hard mode, hit up the harder mode, take care of all the other unlocks, and then you come back to that easy mode again and you clean up any unlocks that you missed along with getting the collectibles. If you guys go back and watch my Crisis 3 videos, I did 2 unlocks, suited up and geared up, and I don't even know if there's any other channel on YouTube that has those 2 videos. I can't find them. I remember when I first posted those videos, nobody else had them, and they've gotten a lot of views because it's helping a lot of people. But if you go and you read those comments, there's a lot of gamers who are still having issues with those particular unlocks, even though I clearly lay it out for them in the videos, right? And it's because on their first playthrough, they got a couple of nano suit upgrades, they got a couple of the attachments, and then now that they're playing back through and they're using my guide, even though they're following my guide, they'll say sometimes, hey, I got to this point in your video, but I don't even have a nano suit upgrade here. The game says I'm missing 2. And if you go read the comments, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just mass confusion, right? And some of these players are having to go back through and play the game, 2 or 3 more times just to be able to get these things, because they get so confused and frustrated that they just don't know what to do. So to sum it all up, you want to make sure that you know the scenario that your game falls under. Is it a checkpoint driven game, right? Does it autosave? Does it have an in-game menu? These are all questions you need to get answered early on in the process before you ever start collecting. Then you have to solve the issue of, are you going to try to find all these unlocks on your own, or are you going to use a strategy guide or video help? And once you've solved all those questions, then you should actually start trying to collect on one run once you've kind of finished everything else. That's my suggestion. It's going to make things a whole lot easier for you at the end of the day. We've got a lot of games coming out this fall. There's going to be a lot of collectibles. There's usually at least 1 or 2 collectible unlocks in every game that you'll ever play if you plan on 100%ing it, right? So you can't afford to sit there and be, spending 3 or 4 playthroughs on a game or that extra week on a game, especially if you're trying to cram in all the games that are coming out this fall. So that's it, guys. That wraps up the mini-series for dominating games. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any questions about it, leave them in the comments below. Tomorrow we're going to go back to just a regularly scheduled daily dose. I got some stuff lined up for you guys, and I will see you in tomorrow's show. You guys be good.